A new week starts right here, right now, live on a Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination and consume everything all across the grid. I am Ben Stevens. He is Donnie Rightside. We are together bright and early on this Monday to set up a new week. As Donnie might say, new week, new money. We do that here over the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. All-Star Weekend around the association in Indianapolis, a historic NBA All-Star game in 2024, the ramifications from it, and where we sit at the All-Star break in the NBA. Huge weekend in college basketball. DRS, 4 weeks from this exact moment. We won't be talking about a weekend of conference action. We'll be breaking down the field of 68 in the NCAA tournament bracket. So much to get to here over these next 3 hours.
And over a few short weeks here as well, as we flip it into March, daylight savings will start to kick in. The days will get longer. The college basketball will get better. And soon enough, we will have Major League Baseball spring training games coming up, I believe, later this week as well. The tide is turning in a good direction here, Ben.
We are getting closer to spring. As Puxatawny Phil said, it's going to be an early spring, and that guy, he don't miss. Last night in the NBA All-Star Game, very few players missed, as well as we saw a historic offensive output in the All-Star Game. The first time ever a team has scored 200 points or more, 211 for the Eastern Conference as we go back to the East versus West for the first time since 2017. In the East, picks up a huge win, 211 to 186, 211 points in an NBA All-Star Game. Quickly, we welcome in that SportsGrid radio audience here. Hour number one of a new week beginning on a Monday morning. It's the early line, Sirius XM Channel 159. All of our radio terrestrial affiliates now on the fold as well. He is Donnie. I am Ben. The most points we have ever seen in an NBA All-Star Game combined. The first time a team has scored 200 or more. 211, Donnie, for the Eastern Conference as they win outright as a short underdog. And a total that through the weekend worked its way down to 356 pregame. Skies well over with 397 points combined.
Yeah, we'll hit these topics a little bit later, but it's interesting to see because I was trying to ride the tea leaves here, Ben, and say, what do you think is going to happen in this All-Star game? I thought the Western Conference had a better overall roster, but you can't measure I don't care as much, right? And then also you take a look at the total where around the NBA, I tried to play it into this, Ben, and said to myself, you know what? I think this game is going to go under because I like what I'm hearing out of the commissioner, out of the older veteran players, out of the guys that have watched the game. Hey, look, you know what? You guys are awesome. Play a little defense and see what happens. Like, you know what? They might buy into it. They didn't buy into it. They went the exact opposite direction. Was it fun to watch? I guess. Were there a lot of points? Absolutely. But we're going to talk about if changes are going to be made to the All-Star games, which quite frankly happens in every All-Star game. You hit that breaking point, Ben.
It did not seem as though Commissioner Adam Silver loved to see 211 points scored by one side. 39 of them, a team high for the Eastern Conference by Damian Lillard, who was named the All-Star Game MVP for the first time in his 8 career All-Star games. This for the first time as a member of the Eastern Conference. He hit 11 threes last night in Indianapolis. He hit the most threes on Saturday night to go back-to-back as your three-point champion in the NBA All-Star Weekend three-point contest. He goes back-to-back, as does Mac McClung in the dunk contest as well. An underwhelming dunk contest where the judges were lost, the audience was lost listening to the commentators. An interesting NBA All-Star Saturday.
No, it certainly was. And usually the dunk is the culmination of the All-Star weekend, getting you ready for the All-Star game. And it is enjoyable, but the simple fact of the matter is, I know it's supposed to be a lot of fun stuff, right? And I enjoy Mac McClung coming back, and I thought he deserved to win that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But when the audience knows so much more about the dunks than these old-timers out here that I'm not even sure can see anymore at this point, just throwing up random numbers, it sort of lost its luster right away, where every time the dunk was made, the crowd would wait for the reaction from the judges and then resoundingly boo it, and they were correct every single time, Ben.
Yeah, it was interesting. The highlight of the night, in my opinion, Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu, who started with 26 made threes. That would have put her into the finals of the three-point contest overall. It's just Steph Curry answered with 29 to win that competition. A highlight event, and we focus on how cool the event was Again, not the commentating around said event. To basketball that actually matters yesterday in college hoops. Number 2 team in the country, Purdue on the road in Columbus. A tumultuous week for Ohio State men's basketball, firing Chris Holtmann, who was the head coach in Columbus for 7 seasons on Wednesday. Ohio State entered losing 9 of their last 11 games against a Purdue team that had won 9 straight. Interim head coach Jake Diebler in his debut, and the Buckeyes pull off the upset at home in Columbus, 73-69. Ohio State, Donnie, winning outright as an 8.5-point underdog.
This is why when we start to turn to March and say, can Purdue get it done? These are the games that scare you. Nobody would have been upset if Purdue had gone on the road and lost to a quality opponent. But these are the ones where the matchups are. It's not as if Purdue, Ben, is advancing in March Madness and then getting knocked off by blue bloods like Kentucky. If you have a starting lineup of everybody under 6'3" and you're from New Jersey, you got a great chance at knocking out Purdue at this point. That is a bad loss by Purdue yesterday. I was surprised, Ben.
We'll talk about the weekend in college basketball. I think the Boilers are fine overall. The interim head coaching bump for Jake Diebler, who has been a member of the Ohio State men's basketball program for 8 seasons, a monumental moment in his coaching career. A big moment in Rick Pitino's coaching career yesterday as well. He is miserable. He's having the least fun he's ever had. I'm not just saying that. Pitino said that after the game yesterday. The Johnnies out on Long Island hosting Seton Hall. St. John's blows an early 19-point opening half lead as Shaheen Holloway and Hallball come back to beat St. John's 68-62, winning outright as a 6.5-point dog.
Now, there's a lot of tape on these games out here, Ben, but basically Rick Pitino told you yesterday, you want to beat my team, just run them sideline to sideline, and you'll kick the hell out of us, and I look forward to you guys doing that the rest of the season. Interesting take from Pitino here for the rest of the season for those Johnnies.
We'll have a lot more conversation about that one later on in hour 2. South Florida, the best team in the American, a 12-1 record, but it wasn't easy yesterday for USF. They were up by 25 with 8.5 minutes remaining in regulation. FAU comes all the way back, but South Florida holds on, winning 90-86 outright as a 5.5-point home underdog, Donnie.
Down in the Sun Dome there. By the way, 12-1 overall in conference play. You're right. That is a shocking occurrence here. Maybe the new top dogs in the American this year.
South Florida has won 11 straight. They have covered in 9 of 11. News around the world of sports. Hideki Matsuyama yesterday at Riviera in the Genesis Invitational. A final round 62. He is victorious. The lowest ever round shot by the eventual champion at Riviera. And we had a huge weekend in the NHL. Donnie's a hockey sharp. The Stadium Series. Yesterday, the Rangers win an overtime thriller at MetLife, 6-5 in OT. We'll have plenty more around the Stadium Series again with the hockey sharp Donnie Rightside at the end of this opening hour. Back to All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis up next.